Namibia was once again reminded to strengthen its commitment to the Cuban Revolution at the 7th African Continental Meeting held in South Africa last week. The conference, attended by delegates from more than 20 African countries, condemned the economic blockade imposed by the United States against Cuba, the occupation by the U.S. of Guantanamo Bay on Cuban land, and the inclusion of Cuba on the list of countries supporting terrorism. Every year since 1992, the United Nations General Assembly votes overwhelmingly in favor of a resolution for the lifting of the more than 60-year-old blockade, but nothing happens. Thus, the conference has called for a robust action program for the blockade to be lifted.
So we decided to say there are some actions that we can take to make these sanctions irrelevant.
Yes.
To make it irrelevant. Mm-hmm. So we have come up with the program of action to call upon our countries to redouble their efforts to work with Cuba economically, health, socially, education, people to people, to work with Cuba.
Absolutely.
And also our countries to take action to make sure that the American companies operating on our land that were liberated by Cuba do not implement the sanctions laws here
on
our African continent.
The conference also adopted a declaration for an annual Cuban Solidarity Focus Week, culminating in the African Day in Solidarity with Cuba to be observed on March 23rd. Namibia will carry out action-oriented activities throughout that week, leading to the day to intensify its efforts by protesting at the American Embassy, calling for the lifting of sanctions, the withdrawal of the United States from Guantanamo Bay, and the removal of Cuba from the list of countries supporting terrorism.
The conference decided that during that week, we have to have activities, action-oriented activities, protests to the Cuban embassy throughout the continent. We should have lectures, the universities and schools to teach our young generation about this history and the commitment we have and the relationship and solidarity we have with Cuba. We will also have seminars. We will also have workshops to work on that. But the conference also decided to do people-to-people solidarity.
Yes.
For instance, we need to campaign for finance. Yes. We decided to set up a fund to collect money to send to Cuba, food item, medical, women, we talked about there to collect these writing pads for the students. Because the Cuban people at this moment, they are in a difficult situation.
Very difficult situation.
In terms of food, medicine, everything.